The mirror reflected back a face etched with worry. She stood there, frozen, unable to look away from the image that seemed to mock her very existence. Her eyes, usually sparkling with life, seemed dull and lifeless. The vibrant energy that once defined her had been replaced by a shadow of doubt and fear. She barely recognized the person staring back at her. The confident woman she once knew had vanished, leaving behind a shell of uncertainty. Self-doubt whispered insidious lies, eroding her confidence and stealing her joy. Each day the voice grew louder, more convincing, making it harder to silence. "You're not good enough," it hissed. The words echoed in her mind, a relentless reminder of her perceived failures. "You'll never be worthy of love," it continued. The cruel mantra played on repeat, chipping away at her self-worth. These poisonous words took root in her heart, fueling a cycle of self-criticism and despair. She felt trapped in a never-ending loop of negativity. She longed to break free from this prison of self-doubt, but the bars seemed insurmountable. The desire for liberation was strong, yet the path seemed unclear. Every perceived flaw, every past mistake stood as a testament to her supposed inadequacy. The mirror became a cruel judge, highlighting every imperfection. The weight of her insecurities threatened to crush her spirit entirely. She felt overwhelmed, as if the world was closing in on her, leaving no room to breathe. But deep within her, a flicker of hope remained. Despite the challenges and the overwhelming darkness that sometimes clouded her vision, she held on to that tiny spark. It was a beacon, a reminder that there was still light within her, waiting to be embraced. She realized self-love wasn't a prize to be earned. It was a choice, a conscious decision to embrace her authentic self, flaws and all. This understanding didn't come overnight. It was a journey, a process of peeling back layers of self-doubt and societal expectations. It was about recognizing her inherent worth as a human being, regardless of her accomplishments or the opinions of others. She began to see that her value was intrinsic, not something that could be measured by external achievements or validation. This realization was a turning point. It marked the beginning of a new chapter in her life, one where she would no longer be defined by her past mistakes or the judgments of others. She began to challenge the negative self-talk that had plagued her for so long. Each day she made a conscious effort to replace those harmful thoughts with positive affirmations and self-compassion. Instead of focusing on her perceived imperfections, she started acknowledging her strengths and celebrating her unique qualities. She learned to appreciate the small victories and to be kind to herself, understanding that self-love was a continuous journey, not a destination. As she cultivated self-love, she noticed a profound shift within herself and in her life. The constant self-criticism gradually subsided, replaced by a newfound sense of peace and self-acceptance. She felt lighter, freer, as if a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. This inner transformation radiated outwards. She attracted healthier relationships, set better boundaries, and pursued her passions with renewed vigor. The world hadn't changed, but her perception of it, and of herself, had. Section 4. Sarah's journey from self-doubt to self-love. Sarah, a talented artist, had always struggled with self-doubt. From a young age, she was passionate about creating art, but she never felt her work was good enough. Despite receiving praise for her work, she constantly compared herself to others, minimizing her own accomplishments. Social media only amplified her insecurities, as she saw other artists' seemingly perfect lives and works. This lack of self-belief prevented her from sharing her art with the world. She would often hide her paintings, fearing judgment and rejection. One day Sarah decided she was tired of living in the shadows of her own making. She realized that her fear was holding her back from achieving her dreams. She committed to practicing self-love daily. She began with small steps, like meditating and writing down her thoughts and feelings. She started journaling, affirming her strengths, and forgiving herself for past mistakes. Each day, she wrote positive affirmations and reminded herself of her worth. Slowly but surely, Sarah began to see herself differently. She started to appreciate her unique style and the beauty in her imperfections. She recognized her own brilliance and found the courage to share her art with the world. She began participating in local art shows and exhibitions. To her surprise, her work resonated deeply with others. People admired her creativity and the emotions her art evoked. She realized that her vulnerability and authenticity were her greatest strengths. Embracing her true self allowed her to connect with others on a deeper level, and she finally felt the joy of being seen and appreciated for who she truly was. Section 5. Setting the standard for love and respect. Self-love is not selfish, it is essential. When we love and respect ourselves, we set the standard for how others treat us. We no longer tolerate relationships that diminish us, or situations that make us feel unworthy. Embracing our authentic selves, imperfections and all, is an act of radical self-acceptance. It's about recognizing that we are enough, just as we are. Section 6. Your journey to self-love begins now. The journey to self-love may not always be easy, but it is undoubtedly worth it. Start small, practice self-compassion, challenge negative thoughts, celebrate your victories no matter how small they may seem. Remember, you are worthy of love and belonging just as you are. Embrace your uniqueness. Cultivate self-love. The world is waiting for you to shine.